Greetings, everybody. It's me, the Geekers. As you can see, I have set this up for something new and different for what I'm doing tonight. Uh, I got this. I got the creepy meat lighting going for this. Um, as you know, one of my side things has always been parapsychology, paranormal research, and stuff like that. Why is my hat crooked? Um, this one side doesn't like me. Uh, but one of the things has always been I love the researching of ghost hunting and stuff like that. So I really wanted to start this paranormal podcast discussion and everything. Really talk about how what drew me into the paranormal, uh, and that I am going to open up the guest star for this on Twitch. Maybe getting some people in to experience, tell us their stories, and that. I really want to make this a fun, interactive thing. So, as you can see, I just have the just chatting. We're going to be talking about the paranormal aspect of what I want to do and what's going to happen. This video is going to be downloaded and put on YouTube. That's why if you type in chat, you will see what you type, any questions that you type, and will be up there as well. So people can see it being part. The ads are still going to be on, but once I download this and put it up on YouTube, there will be no ads on that. There will be no ads showing up on the video. That's just going to be on your side. Um, but I really wanted to start this podcast. I did. The reason the paranormal has always interested me was that I grew up in a haunted house. Now, I say a haunted house, but the whole property where we lived was haunted. Uh, we lived on about 2 acres. There was two streets where I lived, um, and we owned. They were dead end streets, so it was just down there. We owned the property from one end to the other on this dead end street. So it was all ours. So good sized property. This property at one time was part of a huge orange grove owned by some people. Now this we're in the time period. Now y'all know, for all those that don't know, I live in Florida, so there was big moonshining thing business here in Florida, running moonshine and everything. Uh, but what this property had, there was some houses and people living there. Shotgun house. If y'all don't know what a shotgun house is, the shotgun house is you have your front door and your back door. Each thing was a room. A lot of these shotgun houses didn't have a bathroom. It was a straight shot through. And where this was, there was no, but on the property side where the main house was, the house I grew up in, there were confirmed at least 3 bodies buried on the property somewhere. That of a woman, her husband, and child. It's just basically family buried somewhere. So, like I said, this was an area where somewhere in this property there were bodies buried. We didn't know. Just that confirmed that they were, and we weren't going to They could have been under the house because that's where a lot of the activity in the house was. A lot of the activity growing up was inside the house, uh, as well as my grandmother on my stepdad's side, my stepdad's mom. Her house was unique. That was a shotgun house that they added on to. So before they bought it, this area was riddled with moonshiners and that. So, it was, you had the main city and then you had like the outbranching stuff. This was like during the Prohibition era. So, just one Prohibition, just one moonshiner was he had a souped up car and he had a girlfriend. Both his car and his girlfriend went missing. They never found the car and they never found her. Now, shortly after the car and his girlfriend went missing, the shotgun house got renovated. It got a whole side area added, 2 bedrooms and a bath that were basically the length of a car. Now this sounds weird, Well, the car is supposedly buried. We didn't dig it up. Was buried under that part of the house. If you were to take a metal detector and run it over that, it would go crazy. Uh, just let everybody know, ad will be starting soon, but do be mindful that this video will be put up on YouTube. This VOD will be put up on YouTube, so do not worry. You'll still be able to see this on this video and everything I'm talking about when it reaches YouTube. But that car was buried there. Do we know she was in that car? We don't. If you, like I said, you take a metal detector, that metal detector would go crazy. Some of the things that happened in this house growing up, my sister had a friend that whenever she'd stay over, she'd sleep on the couch. Because in the main house, it was my sister had the front room, I had the middle room, and my parents had the back bedroom. Now, what was great about that, my room, nothing. But what really sucked is if I had to go to the bathroom. My sister had her own private bathroom. My parents, they had this there was a little alcove in the house. It was 3 doors. And one of the things is this door at the top was the attic entrance. There was a bathroom here, their bedroom, and that door. So if that door was closed, that means my parents were getting a shower or something, and they just would go out of the bathroom into the bedroom. But if that door was open and the bedroom door was closed, I could get in there. So that was the bathroom I had to use if I had to wake up in the middle of the night, but if I had to go to the restroom. Now, there was a horror gecko ad. Hey, Revan. Just talking about paranormal tonight and what I experienced growing up. After I talk a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and open this up and see if anybody joins. Let's see. Start a guest star. Ah! Okay. I can't unless I reinstall Chrome. So let me do that. Let me reinstall Chrome. I didn't realize that I had to download Chrome, accept and install. Okay. Give me a second. I'm reinstalling Chrome. Let's get this all this off of me. Move that over here so I can launch that. Then I could bring up Chrome and get the Ghost. I should, like I said, this will be going up on YouTube. Now, as I was talking about, my friend, the friend of my sister, whenever she would stay over, we had this heater that was, it was just an electric heater that would sit there in the winter, and she'd be sleeping in the living room. That heater would just start shaking violently, and you would hear dishes moving and stuff. But ever she stayed. How was the storm? Not too bad. I have to open Twitch again to be able to do the guest stars. Got it. Done. Okay. Let's launch guest star. That is not what I wanted. Let's try that again. Nope, can't do that because it have to be a phone number verified. Well, there goes that. I can't do guest star. So I downloaded Chrome for nothing. Well, I could still do guest star. It's like if you're part of the Baconshire Discord, you can join the chat or anything like that. So that just blowed up in my face. Hope we could still have the discussion, and I could set things up to bring guest stars on. The storm's gone, Dino. The storm's gone. Everything's fine. We lost power for a terrible amount of time. 5 minutes. To tell you how bad it was, I was asleep the whole time. If you notice, I got my closed captions fixed. 5 minutes without power. I had to talk to people, but I was asleep, so I did. As okay. Like I said, this is just the test of doing the paranormal discussions and stuff. Just this video, and if you notice, I have the chat window. Like I said, the paranormal discussion videos are going to be, the VODs are going to be taken down and they're going to be uploaded to YouTube. So that's why I did this setup. What do you think? You like it? It's very nice. Thank you. I mean, it's a good setup. I have the closed caption, so anybody could actually have the volume down and see what I'm saying. The chat's up, so if I answer questions and when I download this, people will know what the question was that I'm answering. And if all else fail, I could just put if I have a guest star through Discord, I could bring them up and do that. So there's always something really good I can do setup wise that I like. Captain Tootie, there's somebody I hadn't seen in a while. How's it going, sir? Uh, Back to the discussion of the paranormal stuff. Getting sidetracked. Uh, but this is whenever my friend would stay. Whenever she stay, activity was really ramped up in the house. Nobody else was like that. But there were nights, like certain nights, you would hear somebody walking through the house when everybody was asleep. We just thought it was the house selling. It was an old house, built in like the 1940s, I want to say 1940s, 1950s. So it was an older house. We moved in the late 80s, so it was between 40 and 50 years old. So it was an older house. I grew up there my whole life. I lived there until moved out in 2005, and then moved into the apartment where I lived. Uh, Other things that would go along on this property area, you would see people standing out in front of the yard who wasn't there. Our We would have any animal we would have. We had a cat that would just start staring at a wall. Uh, there was areas where our dog wouldn't go into at night. None of our animals would go under the house whatsoever, which was weird. Sometimes, like during the summer, you'd have a dog, it'd have a nice little spot underneath the house. There was enough spot for a good sized dog to get under there. None of the animals would go under there. And one of the weird thing is we saw a snake in the yard. And the snake actually slithered to the underneath the house and turned away from the house. Like it didn't want to go under there. That's what was freaking us. I was like, did we just see a snake? Just chickens wouldn't go in there. One time we had chickens on our property. This area of town became overrun with wild chickens thanks to a neighbor. But that was all some of the weird stuff that happened around the house. On my grandmother or my stepdad, we would be one of the weirdest things that happened there. We were sitting one day, we're all talking. It was a barbecue, just talking, laughing, and everybody stopped talking. We saw this black mass come out of the front bedroom, just come out of the doorway, up the wall, and hover, and then go right back into the closet of that front bedroom. And it was just a huge black mass. And we were all, it was one of these things that when you saw it, it was amazing and also frightening. But one of the things I do remember, there was the smell of a perfume, a sweet smell, after this black mass went. Which was really weird. My grandfather, on my stepdad's side, old man, he was old when I met him. The funny thing is, when I was so spirits are very attuned to me. My medium sense is getting better with training, so I could hopefully see them as well as hear them. I'm sort of the same way. I've become attuned to stuff like that. As I grew up, like I said, I grew up in stuff like that. So there's a lot of things I know and a lot of things that freak me out. Still freaks me out to this day. I can hear voices that nobody else can hear, and and you tell that to people. I'm hearing voices, and they look at you like you're crazy. They think it's in your head, but no, there are people who are attuned to wow, they're attuned to different. I want to say the different frequencies in life. I mean, we're we're energy. I mean, when we died, the energy in our body, I mean, it's got to go somewhere. Energy just doesn't go; it goes somewhere. And I think a lot of people who are sensitive to this, they're more attuned to that frequency of the energy, like mediums or people, the psychic realm. And I say the psychic realm because there's a lot of things that are encompassed in the psychic ability that I have seen. I, you know, I wanted to go to school to study parapsychology. Um, in Miami, listen, I just grabbed two Bibles. Uh, Rev, the thing about that, do you know? A lot of times, that's what people fall back onto. They fall back on that, and that's a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. Now, I'm just joking, but I'm gonna be serious about that for a second. And what I mean by a bad thing that can happen with that, there are forces out there that we don't know, and I have seen personally have seen a house that a priest came in and blessed the holy water, Lord's prayer, and everything, and the activity in that house, boom, it skyrocketed. Yeah, yeah, like Dino said, the Bible will is a lot of people think if there's also you have to have that really strong faith. Now, if that's the thing, if you have that strong faith in that, that can increase its power because you're giving it your energy. Uh, the thing with me, I'm going to finish. I'm going to go back to talking about this property and some other things I experienced here shortly. The thing is with that is going with the Bible, any religious text. Um, you also have to take into account what religion was that being that whose spirit could be there. Believe it or not, if you use a Catholic religious text on somebody who was, say, Protestant or Baptist or Buddhist or something like that, that gives such a negative reinforcement that it was crazy. That's why there's a story of a castle in England, not England, Ireland, I believe. See, Ireland or Scotland. It was one of these battles that a Scottish prisoner was killed, and his religion was he was a religion was Catholicism. You know, yeah, so probably England, and he was buried with a Protestant funeral. So you know, Protestants and Catholics, they didn't get along at all. Because of that, his spirit haunts that castle. And part of it is you hear Scottish bagpipes playing in this castle. You heard Scottish music played on bagpipes in this castle at a certain time of night. You want to go there now? I know. I forget the name of this castle. I remember seeing it on. It was a show called Sightings, I believe. It was. I remember watching it. I loved that show. It was. It had, your Bigfoot, UFOs, ghost, everything. Uh, One of the things that I've noticed that has really done a number on spirits and that when trying to cleanse an area, especially here in the United States. There you go. Uh, in the United States, Native American ceremonies have been extremely powerful to disperse any negative energy that's in that area. A lot of what people call pagan rituals have also really helped, like um, Native American ceremonies, Druid ceremonies, Wiccan ceremonies. All of these have been extremely powerful and extremely positive in removing a lot of negative energy away from everything. What is her name? What is her name? Famous psychic. Her and her husband recently passed away. They're in their characters are in. It is true, Dino. It's true. That's why a lot of it works. The Conjuring people. Yeah, I could see her face, but I can't think of her name right now to save my life. I could see her face. The Warrens. We said that right as he typed it. Get out of my head, Dino. You don't like it in there. The Warrens. Lorraine and Ed Warren, yes. They were part of the house with the Amityville as well. Lorraine Lauren, up till when she passed away, was still out there. She was still helping people. And a lot of times she would tell people, says, take these coins, they've been blessed. I want you to bury them on the four corners of the property to help with anything. Shut up. Actually, no. I want some chocolate. I want some chocolate. I'm picking some up this weekend when I go grocery shop. Chocolate and some gummies. Get chocolate and gummies. Back on track. Back on track. I need to stay on track. I need to stay on track. I really want this paranormal stuff to go extremely well. So I need, like I said, this is just like the first phase. I put a message on Twitter. I tagged him. Like I know it wouldn't work, but it's if you don't put it out there in the universe, and nothing's gonna happen. There's a gentleman by the name that goes by the uh he does his name is Omar, it goes by the name Omar Gosh. Um he's a paranormal investigator and vlogger. I put something out there. Um, I just put it back to out there. Maybe he'll see it and, send me a message or something to be part of everything. Because I really want to interview this guy. I really do. He's doing a lot of cool stuff. All right. So Lorraine Lauren, she did all that. Ed and Lorraine were actually on an episode of the Road Rules, and they got mad at the teenagers. They were investigating this haunted hotel, and they told these kids exactly this is what you have to do. You have to follow our rules exactly, and you have to do this. Every one of these kids were skeptical, and they screwed because of them. The entire night's investigation was ruined. And they laughed it off. And Ed and Lorraine went to them and told them, because of your disrespect, you're going to be followed. You made what was here angry, and something's going to follow you. Mark our words. They just laughed it off. 5 minutes after leaving there, the RV breaks down. One of them gets sick. A lot of the stuff that they had in their luggage went missing. They're broke down. They're at the gas station, the repair shop. The RV's getting fixed. Ed and Lorraine show up. And they went, told you. And a couple of them actually became believers after that. So, if you're not sure about something, don't tempt fate with the paranormal. The reason why it probably won't end well with you. I have seen instances where ghost investigators, there's a lot of them decide, hey, we're going to take a skeptic with us and see what happens. A lot of times, this skeptic, because they weren't given the tools that were needed to go in there and said, okay, this is all the stuff that's happened here. We know you're a skeptic, but you need to be respectful of what's there. The second you are disrespectful for any reason of anything out there, it's going to turn around on you. And sometimes things will latch on to you. And if something latches onto you, it's not going to be good. And there has been an example with one of the members of the Ghost Hunters. Not Ghost Hunters, the Ghost Adventurers. There is a bar in, I forget where it's at, but it's called Bob Mackey's. And it is considered the most haunted bar in America. Supposedly, some satanic stuff went down there. Like there's a well that a woman was decapitated and her head was thrown down the well for a ceremony. The building is also cursed that whoever is the owner, things will happen. I wouldn't say you're possessed. You're just you're protected. There's a difference by saying possessed and possess is a vague term. Uh, but so what did yeah, it's you have a guardian. You're not possessed, you have a guardian. Um but so what did Bob Mackey do? He put the building and property in his wife's name. So there you go. Just skirt that. Well, something followed one of the guys home. He had just gotten married. Everything was great until they went here. Bob Mackey's. This entity followed them home, latched on to this one member of the crew. His health started deteriorating. His personality started changing. This happy marriage ended. This guy was a good, decent build of a man. He was decently built. And then Zach went to him and he had dropped 90 pounds within a short amount of time. He was getting sick. He got help. They got everything done, and everything was cleared out. So Zach Baggins, yes, Zach Baggins. A lot of people give him grief. I I've seen enough stuff, and there are people saying, "Well, all of Ghost Adventures is fake. It's this, it's that." If you're like me, and a lot of people who do believe and have seen things that, you know, yeah, he owns a Dybbuk box. He didn't he open one? I think didn't he? No. Oh my gosh, they opened a Dybbuk box. For all those that don't know what a Dybbuk box is, I'm going to explain to you what a Dybbuk box is. If I remember right, it's a Jewish item, isn't it? If I remember right, if yes, it is Jewish. Okay, a Dybbuk box or Dybbuk is it's a Jewish term for a demon or an evil spirit or something that you don't want to deal with. Plain and simple. What they would do is they would capture the Dybbuk and put it in this box. And in the box, it's a Jewish box containing a demon. And inside this box will be the demon itself and different forms of religious binding things inside this box. The box is then sealed using wax. And you don't open it. You open the Dybbuk box, bad things happen. Don't open the Dybbuk box. You open the Dybbuk box, you might as well say, "Hey, I hate my life. Let's add a demon to it. It's going to be fun." Tired of having a normal life? Add a demon. That will increase your fun. Now, so yeah, don't. Zach, he also owns Dr. Kevorkian's suicide van. You don't know what it is. Dr. Jack Kevorkian did the assisted suicides. I'm going to say this, people. Trigger warning, there's going to be talk of suicides and stuff because it's part of what's there. Now, supposedly the van was destroyed. Zach got a hold of it, called Kevorkian's lawyer, said, "Hey, is this his van?" Doctor showed up. The lawyer showed up, walked around it. "Yeah, it's his van. You're going to need this," and gave him the steering wheel. I believe also he has the candles that were aboard the boat the night Natalie Wood drowned. Uh, he has a TV that was owned by I just heard somebody at my front door and there's nobody there. But no, he has a TV that was owned by Manson, Charles Manson. And supposedly the TV itself is haunted. He has the Devil's Rock. He also has Bela Lugosi's mirror. And if you don't know what this is the mirror Bela Lugosi would put the makeup on while looking in this mirror. And for all those who don't know who Bela Lugosi is, back in some of the earlier days of Hollywood, well, not the earlier horror days of Hollywood, the earlier horror movies, Dracula, Frankenstein, Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Werewolf. The one name that would surround these movies together was Bela Lugosi, also known as the Man of a Thousand Faces. And he did all his own makeup. And if you think about that, he put all this makeup on. So this mirror, they say mirrors collect energy as well. There's also supposedly mirrors or portals, but that's another story that we're going to get into another time I do this. So I'm thinking about like once a month in the evening doing these paranormal podcasts. But back to what I was going, he's got that. He actually got to see Annabelle. Now, the doll you see in the movies The Conjuring and Annabelle, that's not the real Annabelle doll. That is a doll made for the movies. The real Annabelle doll, if you were to see it, you would kind of chuckle about it. But then you realize what's connected to this doll. The real Annabelle doll is a Raggedy Ann doll. This doll is encased, it is put inside of a glass case. You're not to touch the case. You actually have to ask permission before you take a photo. There were people who joked about it, took the photo, rode a were riding home on a motorcycle, had an accident, they both died. Man and a wife, man and a woman. The same thing about there is a doll in here in Key West named Robert. Robert the doll. Supposedly, the doll was made for this young boy that died, and the spirit latched onto the doll. Because of their human form. That's why spirits like dolls. Like, hey, look, a body that won't decay. Let me get in that. The thing about Robert, I don't think anything negative happens to you if you take his picture without asking, except that when you take the picture without asking, the picture comes out blurry and stuff. You can have I've the most fantastic camera in the world. You take a picture of Robert without asking, and your camera comes out ruined. You have to go ask him, "Hey, Robert, can I please take your photo?" "Thank you," and you take the photo, and you get the photo. Don't, it comes out blurry, and your camera breaks. Uh, there is there is a chair that they had to hang up on a wall in an English pub. There, there is that this was the chair to this one guy, and nobody sat in this chair but him. He knew was he going to die. He didn't want anybody sitting in this chair after he died, so he cursed the chair. I think a week after the guy died, somebody sat in the chair. They died. A few years later, somebody sat in the chair. They died. So they're like, you know what? This thing has a good record of people dying when sitting in his chair. Let's put it where nobody could sit in it and hang it up on a wall. There's an episode of Ghost Hunter for you. Hey, let's get the chair down and sit in it. Let's see what happens. This episode of Ghost Hunter is in memorial of. I myself, I would like to look at cursed objects. I would like to photograph cursed objects. I do not know. You know what? To the Googles. Let's see. Haunted death chair. Okay, the Bubsy Stair stoop chair. Okay, I don't think that's it. Uh, okay. Where is this chair? Story behind the dead man's chair. The Bubsy chair the dead man's chair is an alleged haunted oak chair that was cursed by the murderer Thomas Busby before his execution by hanging in 1702 in North Yorkshire in the United Kingdom. Due to the many deaths later attributed to people sitting in this chair, the landlord donated it to the Thirsk Museum. Okay. The dead man's chair. Trying to find where it's okay. Found an article. It doesn't say the name of the pub, but it's in but it's in like North Yorkshire in the United Kingdom, so somewhere in a pub there. We'll put it that way. That's the only thing I can say. You need. I know you don't. Don't sit in the chair. Don't. Stay away from the chair. Cursed items. Stay away from them. Photograph them. Don't touch them. Hey, I would like to touch the cursed fork. Here you go. Why are you holding it with the tongues? Because I ain't touching it. You can. I joke with that, but there's so many cursed objects out there. I wouldn't want to mess with them. One of the we're not going in there, you know. Uh, there is a hotel in Avon Park, Florida. That's haunted. My sister was a security guard there. Now, here's what's funny. The most haunted, not only was it a hotel, but there was a college nearby. That one half was the hotel, and the other half was the dorms. First floor was the boys' dorm. Second floor was the girls' dorm. Now, the third floor was the most haunted floor, and that's where they stuck the girls' dorm. I found that out when my sister was giving me a tour, and the only thing I would say is, okay, how many of these girls ran down to the boys' dorm and like, something up there and it's scaring us to help us? Now, in one of the rooms, you had these twin sisters. They both died, literally minutes apart from each other. They don't rent the room out. In fact, it's kept locked. Well, one day they were going and doing some repairs. They moved all the furniture out to make sure the repairs were done and doing the cleaning. They took a break. They closed and locked the door. The workers went downstairs for an hour. It took them an hour and a half to pull the furniture out. Now, it would take them a lot more time to put the furniture back in to where it was, right? They came back. It sounds like Warehouse 13, which is a good show. But they would they came back. All the furniture is back in the room and the door's still locked from the outside. They opened the door, they went in, and the furniture was back in place. They don't know how it happened, but it was back in place. I would have loved to have been in that floor and just see like a bed float by. Go, okay. I would like to be the one worker that went down there. Yeah, we're not going to finish work today. Why? The furniture's back in the room. Or y'all, what? Yeah, door was locked on the outside. Furniture was on the inside. We're going home. Yeah, going home. Then there was the Gray Man. Now, this I have a phenomenal story about the Gray Man. I knew the hotel was haunted, but I didn't know any descriptions about the Gray Man. We're on the floor where the Gray Man has been seen, and where he likes to come down these steps. Sister's talking. My ex-wife, she's standing to one side, and my mom's standing to the other. My ex-wife, I'm sitting there going, he's about 6'5". My sister goes, yeah. Grayish three-piece suit, maybe a black or dark charcoal tie. She goes, yeah. Loafers, black? She goes, yeah. Standing right there. My sister turns, there's nothing there. I'm seeing him crystal clear. We're making eye contact. I don't see a face, but I see him, and he sees me, and we're looking at each other. I'm going. you start talking about him, that's why he showed up, because you were talking about him. Um, that's all right, Ruby. Uh, and I said, uh, he's he's here. He can see us. He can see you. That's why he's down here. So my ex-wife, she's freaked out, so she grabs my arm and then pulls her hands away. And she's like, we're on fire. I'm radiating so much body heat, it's not funny. For me to see him and to acknowledge that we could see he was pulling energy from me. I could feel that he was pulling energy from me. Um, I didn't feel scared. I didn't feel nervous. I just knew that we were connecting. And my sister's freaking out. I said, I can ask him to make his presence known. I, my sister goes, what? My ex-wife goes, what? My mom's freaking out. I go, what? I said, to let them know that you are here, I'm going to ask you to knock 3 times on the wall beside you. Can you please do that? Bomb, bomb, bomb. They freak out. I go, thank you. And then my body temperature starts going down. I'm not radiating as much heat. And he goes back up the stairs. He's going back. I said, he's going back to room 314. Is that the room he's from? He said, no, that's the twins' room. I said, he's going to the twins' room. So we go upstairs. So we go upstairs. My sister says, he's now standing. Twins say hello. The twins, the door's closed, but they're standing at the door. You can see them. And the bad part about it, they have a picture of the twins near the door, so I can't sit there. Well, they look like that picture. They're dressed like that picture. That's one of the weird things about with doing a lot. Rev, a lot of ghosts. If you are nice to them, they'll be nice to you. Um, but that's one thing. If you're bringing somebody who is sensitive to spirits, hide everything that shows that there could be something there. Any connection to what you're looking at needs to be turned over or covered. Yeah, don't act like you see something and just like, I'm not seeing that. Acknowledge it. If they take the if they take the if they want you to be seen and they take the energy for you to see them, for they have to draw so much energy from the surrounding to be able to manifest anything. The slightest thing takes a lot of energy for them. They don't have a body. They don't have a physical form. They're not corporeal. Which is going to go back to one of the things I want to talk about in a future podcast. We're going to briefly discuss here. That's why I want to get somebody who's also done paranormal research. I want to get them on so I can bounce this off. Because I want somebody to sit here and we can have a discussion about this. Now, a spirit, when manifesting, has to draw energy. That's why when you see a lot of the ghost investigation footage and stuff, batteries in their cameras, their microphone, their all their electronics sometimes will go dead. That's why when you do a paranormal investigation, it's always good to carry multiple batteries. Because if they're going to manifest, if it's a busy night, they're going to draw power from everything. Wow. Is she enjoying the show? That's the one thing I'd like to know. Um, they say Chernobyl is haunted. Before all this, before everything that's been going on in Ukraine and Russia, there were a couple of investigations into Pripyat, which is where Chernobyl was. A lot of the building complexes and the schools. Now, when you go there, you have to wear a badge that shows radiation. Uh, you have to go with Geiger counters, and in a lot of places, the radiation is at an acceptable level. You just can't stay in an area for so long. Now, Tentacle Dump Truck, thank you so much for that follow, and welcome to the Bacon Shire, home of the Bacon Fam, where bacon is family. Thank you so much for being here. We have thank you for the emotes too. Now, they're at they're part of they're doing the investigation. They're looking at things. Um, Lord Lethris, thank you so much for the raid. Thank you. I don't have the alerts going on for certain things because of the topic of tonight's show. Um, I really don't need all the alerts going off while I'm trying to discuss this. But thank you so much for that raid, everybody. I am Geekers, a Sea of Thieves content creator, paranormal. I want to say investigator. I haven't really done much investigations, but paranormal researcher. Um, Paranormal enthusiast. I really do want to do some investigations. Um, so yeah, thank you, Lord Lethris, for that raid. Can I get a shout out for that him, please, Dino? Can I get a shout out for Lord Lethris? It won't pop up here, but it will show up in chat. Guys, give him a follow. Thank you so much, Lord Lethris, for that raid. Back to what I was talking about. While they're investigating what happened. All right, dude. Thank you so much. Have a great evening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Uh, Whenever they had something happened in their investigation, they'd have to leave that room because the radiation level skyrocketed. So that was my theory. If an area is saturated with radiation, could a spirit use that radiation to manifest? And could it actually be dangerous? I would love to talk. I would love to do that. I honestly would love to go to the UK and sit down with people and talk about the paranormal stuff that's happened about in the UK, because if you think about some of the oldest places in the world are going to be the most haunted. And especially like in Ireland and Scotland, those are going to be crazy as well because a lot of shit happened there. I love how closed captioning it censors me. I need to go back and fix that. But I proposed this question on to a paranormal site on Reddit. The question was, and so I put it like this. A tree haunts the place, that would be interesting. But so here's what I'm going to discuss about this, about radiation and ghosts. So I want you to picture this. Get a swimming pool. I say an Olympic-sized swimming pool. That is your building. Okay? The water is the building. Now, we're going to roughly estimate that 1/4 of that water is going to be filled with chained oak. I will do that here in a second. Let me finish this. We're going to fill that area. Let's do it. Parts per million. We're going to put, like, for every millionth of a part, particle, there's going to be a red dot or a red ball, right? So it's going to be, and those red balls are going to be evenly dispersed into this pool of water. So one of those little red balls is going to simulate radiation. But, you know, they want to draw it to get down. You're going to block that pool off, and each block is going to be a room. Now, for spirit to manifest, they're going to want to draw that energy to them. So you're going to see those evenly distributed balls into one area, and that's going to be concentrated. Would that, in fact, pull radiation and lower the radiation levels from a neighboring area down? Would that happen? If that's the case, that would be an interesting study, because we've seen it happen. We've seen it happen on that show. It was Josh Yates, I think it's Expedition Unknown, and it was when they went to Pripyat. I can't believe I actually remembered how to pronounce that. So you want what I need to look up? The chained oak. Let's go look that up. Huh. It's a bed and breakfast? Okay. The chained oak is an oak tree tied and chained near the village of Alton, Staffordshire, England. The tree is referred to the old oak. They're running their donation. Okay, back to what it was. Okay, here's the legend. I'm going to read the legend. On an autumn night, the Earl of Shrewsbury was returning to his home at Alton Towers when an old woman suddenly appeared in the road ahead of his horse and coach. The coach stopped to find out why she was there, at which point the old woman begged for a coin. The Earl cruelly dismissed her, so the old woman stated that she would place a curse on him. The old woman told the Earl that for every branch on an old oak tree that fell, a member of the Earl's family would die. Earl refused to listen and was on his way. That same night, a violent storm caused a single branch from the old oak tree to break and fall. Later that evening, a member of the Earl's family suddenly and mysteriously died. Now, firmly believed in the power of the curse, the Earl is said to have ordered his servants to chain every branch together to prevent other branches from falling. To this day, the oak tree remains chained up. Wow. That is actually kind of interesting. Let me take a look at this picture. Um, there's chains on it, but it looks like some of those branches have fallen. He didn't do a good job. The Talbot family. Nobody died. At least they're not admitting it. Yeah, so, a tree fell from the branch fell from the tree. Somebody check on the Talbots. Wait a minute. Oh, you know what? I'm going to put this out there. What if somebody, a descendant from the Talbot family, not immediate, but like someone from, like, an illegitimate heir, died? Just saying. Just because someone that was not acknowledged to be part of the Talbot family didn't die, somebody who was that's always the weird thing. That's stuff that you always gotta look at. You gotta look at the thing with curses and stuff. Something else I want to do with this show, I want to get other people's experience. So I definitely want to. That's why I wanted the guest star to work, so I could get in other people to join. But since I have to have it verified through a phone number, which I don't have, there was the only way I could set up a phone number through. I'm just starting to think, could I use Skype? Since if I pay for a premium Skype package, that gives me a phone number through Skype. Trying to circumvent things. Things I'll need to look up later. Dino just like, Dino, you're the technical director. Figure that out for me. But yeah, there is a house here in where I live, the town I live in, the city I live in, that was on an episode of Unsolved Mysteries. That's haunted. I met the guy. Turns into Doctor. How about no? Uh, do you want to hear about the haunted house that was across the street from me? Well, I say across the street. It was like the next street over, literally a stone's from me. Okay, where I grew up, there was this house that was originally the original post office for the town. There's actually, you go to the house, there's the plaque. Original post office for da 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 da. Now, this house caught fire. You think, well, it burnt down. No, only one room of this house burnt. The rest of the house untouched by the flames. Okay? In this room, an old woman passed away. The fire killed her. You could go at night, and if the lights were off in this house, you can see a candlelight moving back and forth from the windows. That's if the lights were off. If somebody was home and the lights were on, you didn't see it. It had to be off. Now, I made friends with the one kid who was living there before they moved away. New student, made friends with him, went over there. Their family didn't know about the history of the house, and I told them. My friend's bedroom was this room. I got a chance to go in that room. This is my experience. The rest of the house was kind of warm. You know, the AC was on, but it still had warmth to it. You know what I mean? It was cool, but you did feel like an overall warmth to the house. Got to go up the stairs. The stairs, this is what's cool about the stairs. You know how some stairs you do have the openings and that? Like the warmth of a fire. Not that kind of warmth, but like, you know, emotional warmth. Warmth, not warm. The stairway in this house was one of these stairs that had a door. You open the door and it was like a stairway hall. Okay? So I go up the stairs. I get halfway up the stairs and I feel like there's a temperature change. Now you're thinking this is a 2-story house. This room is in perfect alignment that at 12 o'clock, it's going to get sun for at least 5 to 6 hours. So, you know, it would have a warmth to it itself. It was about 85 degrees that day. Don't know what that degree in Celsius, but 85. I get to the room. It's cold. It's ice cold in this room. And he's like, yeah, it's always cold in here. Like, dude, this is the room the woman died. And he's like, yeah, it's weird. Certain things happen. I said, do you ever try lighting a candle in here? So he calls down his mom and says, Mom, yeah, it's cold in that way, warmer like it should be, like to match the rest of the house. And he's like, Mom, can we get a candle? And I told his mom what had happened. She's like, okay, let's get a candle and see what happens. So the mom, she brings a candle, put it in a candle holder, and they just happened to have, when they moved in, they said, well, we did find this when we moved in, and it was one of those candle holders that had the finger hold that you could carry it like this. I was like, was that here when you moved in? Like, yeah, it was in the kitchen. It was sitting in the kitchen. I'm like, so before we put the candle in, I took a look at something. I'm looking to see. There was soot on it. There was soot in certain area. I'm like, oh God, this thing was in a fire. And I'm thinking, this could be something that was in this room in the fire that survived, that has not left the house. So I'm thinking, oh great, we're putting a candle into something that a ghost is using to candlelight around the room. Oh, I'm like, if we're going to use a trigger object, let's use something that's really good for it. Too spooky for you. Thank you so much for that follow, and welcome to the Bacon Shire. home of the Bacon Fam, where bacon is family. I'm in your walls. Want a bag of chips? I got a Dr. Pepper in the fridge. You want one? Okay. I'll give it to you after the show. Okay? I want to make you feel welcomed. Most welcome. Just do me a favor. When I'm trying to sleep, don't knock on the walls. I'm a crank. You don't want me cranky. Okay? We cool? We cool. So I put I put the candle, I put the candlestick down. Hey, work. I put the candle in. His mom lights a match, lights the candle. There's no breeze. The windows are closed. There's no vent for AC. 3 seconds. Candle goes out. She's like, I must have breathed on it, or one of y'all blew it out. It's like, nope, I'll stand back. I stood by his bed. He stood next to the wall. She lights the candle again. Not only did the candle go out, but it moved. It got flung off the desk into his closet. We watched it. She freaks out. I'm grinning ear to ear because I just witnessed firsthand a paranormal incident and met almost, I would like, wow. And I was like, ninth grade? The woman didn't want to, and just tuck it into the. So they picked it up. She runs downstairs and calls her husband. And I can't get this out of my head from what she goes, I don't care how much you paid for this. We're not living here. Sell it. And she asked me to go home. So I go home. And I tell my mom what happened. I tell my dad what happened. Jonathan the Python, thank you so much for that follow. And welcome to the Baconshire, home of the Bacon Fam, where bacon is family. Thank you so much for that follow. So we're sitting there, and I explained to my parents what had happened. They're like, oh, that's it. 20 minutes later, there's a knock on the door. It's my friend's dad. And he's like, what did you do? And I told him the history of the house. My dad backed this up. My mom backed this up. His mom, my stepdad's mom, backed it up, saying, yes, that's what happened. You could look it up. You could go to historical records. Look it up. That's what happened. He didn't go to school the next day. Okay. Day after that, no school. I'm passing by the office. There's his parents turning in his school books. They took him out of school and they moved. That was the only thing they ever witnessed in the house. They moved. They saw me, and I kid you not, they told the vice principal that I needed to be expelled because I caused them to have to sell the house. They said, I brought something into the house. So you know the vice principal, she has to bring me in, explain to me ask me what's going on. And I tell her I'm a witch. No, and asked me what has happened, and I said, "Do you know what house they lived in?" She goes, "Well, I have the address," and I said, "Look at the address." She looks at the address. She goes, "Is that the house?" I'm like, "That's the house." She goes, "What room was him?" And I said, "That room." And she goes, "You're kidding me." I'm like, "No." They weren't told about the history of the house. No, ma'am, they weren't. I told them the history of the house. So, and she goes, "Well, what happened?" I said, "Well," she brings a candle holder in there to light a candle because they wanted to see what happened. Because, oh, yeah, it was a candle holder they found in the house that was there when they moved in. Oh, it was soot on it. Oh, it's kind of the candlestick that you would use if you're holding it to walk around the room. She goes, "You're kidding." I'm like, "No." She said, "Do you think it could have been?" I'm like, "Maybe." Now, my vice principal, who was also a skeptic, and I told him this. She's like, "Why did they just use a Ouija board instead? It probably would have been safer." All right, Dino. So, if you're going to use a trigger object, use something that was there when the person died. There you go. And I've never heard from him since. He was a good kid, too. Really cool kid. But his parents blaming me because a ghost did something was crazy. And that was like one of my first, well, no, I wouldn't say my first, but my to seeing something like that. I've heard things and stuff. Like I said, growing up in the house where I lived in, I've heard things, I've seen things, but never to see something of that magnitude happen. Now you got to remember, I grew up in the '90s, so we didn't have cell phone. Record. If we wanted to record, we'd have to get the big shoulder-mounted camcorder to record, and that happened, and we're like, "It's cool," and they're like, "No, no, 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 no." So it's that's the thing with paranormal research and investigations and things like that. Some people can handle it, some people can't. Um, so that was one of the really cool experiences I had with the paranormal. Some of the other things I've experienced. Uh, Now, when I say paranormal, everybody is referring to ghosts, which is true. Paranormal is ghost. One of the other things I want to talk about is maybe cryptozoology. And for all those who don't know what cryptozoology is, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, the Yeti, stuff like that. That's something else I will be discussing with here. Even though I've never experienced any of that, I do believe there could be something out there. There's too much eyewitnesses of stuff like that for there not to be. The one thing that would be kind of hard to explain would probably be the Loch Ness monster. Is there something in Loch Ness that could be big? Yes. Could it be a dinosaur? Probably not. Could it be a big eel or something like that? I'm thinking possibly. I've also seen catfish that have grown extreme size. So it could be something explained with Loch Ness, but with something with Bigfoot, there's been too much evidence for people to fake something like Bigfoot. For for certain reasons. And people like, well, if if Bigfoot was real, why haven't we come across remains of a Bigfoot? And that's simple. when an animal dies in the woods, it doesn't just sit there. The whole ecosystem behind something dying in the woods is like this. Okay? This is the ecosystem. The ecosystem itself is designed to break and distribute that carcass. You're going to have bugs show up. Well, first you're going to have your scavengers, your buzzards, your coyotes. They're going to go on to that. Bears, something big. Bears are scavengers at times when they need food. So they'll go after that. Okay? Then your insects go in there, they're breaking that down. Then your scavengers will. The body would be distributed. Okay? Another theory for me about a Bigfoot, what if their bones are not the same as our kind of bones? You know? Especially, like, why is it every time you photograph a Bigfoot, it's always blurry? What if they are blurry? That is their camouflage. But I have seen so many footage of things that could it be our minds saying things like pareidolia, I think it's called, where your mind sees patterns that aren't there, or is there something there that like I've said, I've seen so much footage of different things. I've seen so many footprints. I've seen so much evidence that puts in my mind for something like a Bigfoot or a Yeti. Is there something more there? Is there? There has to be. Too many people have seen things that, like I said, there's so much smoke, there has to be fire. Referring to Bigfoot. Same with ghosts. There's so much evidence out there to support ghosts and spirits, demons, that for people to sit there and go, I don't believe. I can't. I'm not going to force anybody to believe in ghosts, to believe in Bigfoot, to believe in the paranormal. I just want people to have an open mind that says, look, there's stuff out there we can't explain. And you just have to sit there and go, draw your own conclusions, draw your own hypothesis when things like that. And that's what this paranormal podcast that I'm putting on is going to be about. If I get a chance to go do an investigation, I will bring back footage and share with you on this podcast. That's why I'm really pushing forward to getting certain guests that maybe someday getting to go on an investigation, getting to meet with them, getting to talk with them, getting to know their experiences. It's all about trying to broaden people's horizons with things like that. Me being a paranormal enthusiast, I did it for so long. I've been interested in it for so long. My senior project in high school. Graduated class of 95, so you know I'm an old timer. But what I remember with all my research, I had to go to the public library and say, hey, I need books on parapsychology, paranormal investigations, ghost stories, legends, and stuff like that. I need that. They didn't have a wide selection of this stuff. So they're like, hey, we can order certain books from another library and bring them in. I'm like, okay, fine. They did that. Can't check them out. They have to be in libraries. So I had them sit there. for like hours poring over these books, writing information, looking at articles, getting a chance to look up on videos and stuff. They had a video room where I could sit there and look at all these videos. This is like pre-internet stuff, you know. So, you know, that was some of the most interesting and wonderful things in my life, being able to pour and look over all this investigation that was done analog. There was no digital stuff, all analog, all photos, simple videos, and just to realize what I'm doing, what I'm diving into was just so exhilarating. Put all this information together. Now, I don't know if it's still there. Let me see. University. Parapsychology. Yep, I believe the University of Miami still has their parapsychology class. Sweet. I would love to go to that class. Go to college just for one class. What are you here for? Parapsychology? Why? I believe in ghosts. I believe in spirits. I believe in demons. I want to know more. And, you know, you could go to Radio Shack. No, you can't. Radio Shack's out of business. You can go online and buy all these unique stuff to be able to do investigations. It's amazing what you see and what you find out, what you hear and experience. It's amazing. One of the main reasons I also have closed captioning on for this is when an ad pops up, you can see what I'm saying. So I really, that's why I have closed caption. But seeing all of this research, seeing all these investigations, really does make you question reality, makes you question, is there more out there? And that's why I want to do this podcast. One of the things I plan on doing with this is awesome. I want people who get to know this podcast, I want you to share your experiences. There's going to be a section I'm going to be putting in my Discord for it, where you could put in your stuff. If you want to be not anonymous when you let that know, you can DM me on the Discord. Let me know. Say, hey, this is my story. Do not tell them who I am. Just you can go ahead and tell my story. It's perfectly fine. I will keep your anonymity. But I do want to share people's experiences. And a lot of times, sharing your experience will help you. Because sometimes carrying around that experience is a burden. And I really don't want you to be burdened with the negativity that you feel around that. Be positive about it. Share your experiences. You never know. Somebody out there might have a similar experience to you. And you can share that, you know, and just grow and realize you're not alone. It might not be anything evil. It just could be a relative that's coming by to say hello. And that's what this is all about. One of the things I do want to do is if I do get to go and do investigations, will be going to help people. And if they're scared to go in and see what's going on and trying to help them, say, hey, this is what's going on. This is what you can do. Um, yes, you can tell this thing you have no power. You do not have the right. And a lot of times, if you put your assertive over a spirit, saying, "Look, you are not going to scare me out," you actually take control of surroundings. With that being said, all right, Dino, that comes to the conclusion of this podcast. I will go ahead and download the VOD and put it up on YouTube for people to watch. This way you can watch it without the commercial interruptions from Twitch. Whenever I do one of my paranormal podcasts, you'll be able to experience. Message me there on YouTube. I think you can still message people. I'm not sure. But there's going to be my business email that I will take stories that way as well. Just make sure you put it, this is my story, this, do not use this. Just, or you can tell the story, just don't use my name. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. I will perfectly respect you. Respect your wishes. So that being said, please keep an eye out on my YouTube. You can find my YouTube listed below, or if you look up my socials, my YouTube channel is there. Feel free to follow me there on Instagram and Twitter. You can join the Discord to join that and bring up the parapsychology, the paranormal stuff there as well. Also, share other things you find out. Say, I want to start, I'll even show videos. I even want to start showing Iron Tech coming in with a raid just as I'm about to end up for the evening. Iron Tech, thank you so much for the raid. I am Geekers, Sea of Thieves content creator, and tonight, paranormal enthusiast and podcaster. Thank you so much, Iron, for bringing your community into the Bacon Shire. Thank you. Lord Greybeard, thank you so much for that follow, and welcome to the Bacon Shire, home of the Bacon fam, where bacon is family. Thank you so much, Lord Greybeard. You just missed it tonight. Tonight was my parapsychology, or my paranormal. Few technical issues. Well, blame Dino. You just coming in at towards the end of my stream here. I was doing a paranormal discussion, setting up the paranormal podcast, putting feelers out there for anybody who wants to share anything that's happened with them, be it a story. I want to set up to set up to where I'm going to be downloading the VODs from these shows, putting them up on YouTube. I was going to do the guest star thing, but you need a phone number to do that. You need to get your account verified to do guest star. So until I can get that fixed, I thought my account was verified at one time. But I guess since I got a new computer, I wish there was another way to verify it instead of a phone number. But that being said, everybody, I am Geekers. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Let's find somebody to take this raid into, since I am ending for the night. That's just to set up the account, but to verify it, they want a phone number now. Let's see who is live that I could go that y'all go into and say hello. Excuse me. You know what? I think I know who we're gonna go raid. First, let me go in there and see if I can chat in her. Well, we're not going there. No, we can't raid geekers. You know, I know who we're gonna go raid. I have to put raid down. We're gonna go raid Cat Likes Tacos. Because he's ending the stream. It'd be kind of weird to go in there and raid him. We're gonna go raid Cat Likes Tacos. She's on her quest to get the Ashen Cursed. So we're gonna go raid her. But guys, thank you for coming out to what should be the first of many paranormal podcasts and that. So thank you all for coming out this evening for the raids and the new follows. So one step closer to 700 followers, guys. Just like 4 away. But that being said, everybody, thank you all for watching. And I'll see you all next time. Let's get in there and raid Cat Likes Tacos. Until then, later.